year is 2002. Tom Brady wins his first of many Super Bowls with a 20-17 victory over the greatest show on turf. Spiderman is released to theaters, becoming a box office sensation. Kelly Clarkson won the first season of American Idol. But the biggest thing that happened in the music industry this year was the release of Eminem's fourth studio album, The Eminem Show. Before getting into the album though, if you haven't already done it yet, go follow my Instagram. That would be greatly appreciated. You guys can always reach out and show me some love. It's all good. Make sure to comment on what it was like for you in 2002 when this album came out and what your reaction was when you first heard it. How has it impacted you also? The story of The Eminem Show starts after the release of Eminem's third studio album, the Marshall Mathers LP, which was released in May of 2000. This album was a massive success, with it topping the Billboard 200, selling 1.78 million copies in its first week. Eminem was on top of the world, but his world soon got turned upside down. The years leading up to his next album, The Eminem Show, were abysmal to say the least. Shortly after the release of the Marshall Mathers LP, Eminem was involved in two incidents that could have cost him his freedom. One of them being Eminem assaulting a man almost 2 weeks after the release of the album. Eminem suspected that his wife Kim was cheating on him and he crashed out, allegedly pistol whipping the man. More on this in the second part of the video. The day before this happened, Eminem was involved in another altercation that involved him allegedly carrying a concealed weapon. This incident involved an associate of fellow Detroit rap group The Insane Clown Posse. Eminem pled no contest to this charge and ended up getting a year's probation back in 2001. Eminem and the Insane Clown Posse's problems reportedly stemmed from a flyer. Violent J of the Insane Clown Posse explained what happened.
First time I met him in 1997 or maybe 1998, we walked into St. Andrew's Hall and he came up to us with a flyer and he said, "What's up?" He came up to us and he had a kid with him or whatever and he was like, "What's up?" And I was like, "What's up?" And he was like, "I'm Eminem." And he gave me a flyer and it said Eminem record release party or some kind of party for his EP or something, you know what I mean? I don't know what it was. And then it said on the flyer, it said special guests in the house, and it said ICP, and then underneath it said maybe, and it said Esham, maybe. And then I looked at it and I had my name and I said, "How you gonna put ICP on this fucking flyer when, you know what I'm saying, when you don't even know if we're gonna be there?" And then put maybe like that. And then he said, "Well, I'm asking you now, you know what I'm saying, you want to come show up?" And I was like, "Hell no, man, what the fuck?" And I was like, "Man, don't be putting our name on this shit." And I walked away.
So this is where the feud between ICP and Eminem stemmed from, which led to disses for years until Eminem's close friend Proof helped to squash their beef before his tragic passing in 2006. RP Proof. The very next month, Kim attempted to unalive herself after watching Eminem's performance in Michigan during the Up in Smoke tour. She was very upset when Eminem either performed the song Kim or talked to the crowd over the instrumental to Kim.
I went with my sister and some friends and had asked him before we went to the show if he was going to perform that song, and he said no. He said no because I know that you're going to be there and I wouldn't do that to you. I was there in the middle section on the main floor, and sure enough, he decided to do that song and not only perform the song but use blow-up dolls as to reenact like me being choked and just disrespectful things to the blow-up doll, and then threw the doll into the crowd. Like, for him to do that in front of thousands upon thousands of people, knowing that I'm out there and just watching everybody else sing the words and laughing and jumping around and like approval of, just, I couldn't take it. I don't know.
Just a month after this incident took place, Eminem filed for divorce from Kim after being married to her for only a year. Just for Kim to fire back by filing a $10 million lawsuit seeking full and permanent custody of their daughter, Haley. She also was suing Eminem for punitive damages over defamation. By the end of August of 2000, a settlement was reached with this lawsuit. After this, Kim and Eminem tried to reconcile their marriage multiple times until their divorce was finalized, leading to Eminem having joint legal and physical custody of Haley. Aside from this, Eminem also had to deal with his own mother suing him for defamation of character, as well as intentional infliction of emotional distress. This case started in 1999, but wouldn't be settled until 2001. I also can't forget to mention the immense pressure Eminem was under. He just had a very successful album and started to struggle with the fame that came from it. Eminem was also getting heavily scrutinized by the media for his music and the content within it. It went as far up as being the topic of conversation with the Congress of the United States. Members of Congress did not like that Eminem was winning all of these awards for his music, as they deemed his music to be graphic and controversial. With all of these things going on, Eminem still had to find time to focus on music, which he did by releasing his Group D12's debut album in June of 2001. This album topped the Billboard 200, selling 372,000 copies in its first week.
With a couple of lawsuits inside a palm, it's Mr. Mischief with a trick up his sleeve. Roll up on you like Christopher Reeve.
Later on, in the fall of 2001, is when Eminem started recording music for the Eminem Show. This just so happened to be when he started filming for the movie 8 Mile, which is partially based on his life. This movie ended up releasing in November of 2002. Aside from filming the movie, Eminem also worked on the movie soundtrack. The first single to be released from the Eminem Show was Without Me. This was released in May of 2002. The song peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, and as of 2022 is 7 times platinum.
Just follow me, 'cause we need a little controversy, 'cause it feels so empty without me.
The Eminem Show released earlier than expected. It originally was supposed to release on May 28th, 2002. Then it got pushed back to June 4th before the album got bootlegged, which was a huge problem. This caused the album to come out 2 days earlier than the initial release date, with the album dropping on May 26th instead of the 28th. Nowadays, albums drop on Fridays, but back in 2002, albums dropped on Tuesdays. This meant that Eminem had to drop on a Sunday, missing out on 6 days worth of sales. Despite this, the Eminem Show still topped the Billboard 200 charts, selling 285,000 copies in 1 day. In its second week, which was a full week, the Eminem Show sold an additional 1.3 million copies. As of 2022, the album is 12 times platinum. Quite insane. The title of the album does have meaning. It's inspired by the 1998 movie The Truman Show, starring Jim Carrey. In the movie, Jim Carrey's character Truman Burbank is an insurance salesman who's unaware that he's the star of a reality TV program called The Truman Show, which is filmed and broadcast worldwide 24/7 through approximately 5,000 hidden cameras. This inspired Eminem because his life felt like a circus and that he was always being watched.
Well, let's see. For the past 2 years, I put out a fucking album. I got arrested. I got divorced. I got fucking arrested. I got out. I got off. The concept of the album is my life on blast. Like, my life is a show. Sometimes I don't know where my private life ends and my public life begins. It all seems to blend together a lot. So that's the reason for that, the concept, for the title, and for everything, is because sometimes I feel like that. I feel like there's nothing that I can do that is not wrote about, at least at this time in my life.
But with the album now being released after the hectic few years that Eminem had, it was now time for fans to hear what Eminem had in store for fans with the Eminem Show.
I can't be your Superman, can't be your Superman, can't be your Superman.
The album starts with the Curtains Up skit. The curtain for the show opens up as Eminem steps on the stage and the audience applauds. Eminem taps the mic as the show begins to start. This leads into the following track, White America.
White America! Eric looks just like this! White America!
This is a very deep and political track by Eminem. He addresses a multitude of things throughout the track. In his opening verse, he raps about never thinking that he would amass the amount of popularity that he attained to that point. Eminem also did not know that the words in his songs would have such a profound impact. In the song, he also mentions the Congress of the United States talking about him and saying that he was nothing but trouble. The topic of conversation was the marketing practices of the entertainment industry and the labeling of music. Members of the House Telecommunications Subcommittee were outraged by Eminem's lyrics and mark on music. One of the people who took issue with his lyrics was Barbara Cuban. At the time, she was a Republican member of the United States House of Representatives representing Wyoming. She had an issue with the explicit lyrics in Eminem's song Kill You from the Marshall Mathers LP. So this is what Eminem was referring to on White America. Of course, back in the days, there was drama surrounding the nature of rap music in the media, but it reached a new level when Eminem came on the scene and he became the biggest rapper in the world. Now a white guy who looked like White America was the face, and it caused mass hysteria due to the content of Eminem's music. In the song, Eminem calls out White America because they had no problem when Harlem was affected by hip-hop music, but now that it affected areas like Boston, they cared and they paid attention. In the second verse of the song, Eminem raps about how his image helped out his career. He admits bleaching his hair blonde, being white, and having baby blue eyes propelled his career. Also in the outro, Eminem calls out Lynn Cheney, who was the second lady of the United States at the time due to being married to the 46th president, Dick Cheney. The reason Eminem called her out was due to her speaking out against his music to Congress back in 2000. Eminem also called out Tipper Gore, who was the second lady while Al Gore was vice president of the United States. If you don't know, she's the one who co-founded the Parents Music Resource Center in 1985. She's responsible for there being parental advisory stickers on albums with explicit lyrics. The more you know. Business is the next track on the album. It's produced by Dr. Dre, who also executive produced the album. Business was the last single from the album in other parts of the world to be released as a single.
So let's get down to business. I don't got no time to play around. What is this?
When Eminem was a little kid, he loved watching Batman on TV, so with the song Business, he wanted this song to be the rap version of it. He was Robin while Dr. Dre was Batman. This concept is continued on the music video for Without Me. In the third verse of the song, Eminem mentions playing career Russian roulette with Elton John. This references when Eminem and Elton John performed at the Grammys together in 2001. At the time, Eminem was under a lot of scrutiny for his lyrics about the LGBTQIA+ community. Elton John is a member of this community. If this performance did not go according to plan, it could have significantly damaged both of their careers, hence why Eminem refers to this as career Russian roulette. The performance went very well and led to an incredible friendship between the two. Fun fact, Elton John is Eminem's AA sponsor and has helped him with his sobriety throughout the years. Business then fades into the next track, Cleaning Out My Closet. This was the second single of the album. It peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100. As of 2022, the song is triple platinum.
I never meant to make you cry, but tonight I'm cleaning out my closet.
The track has production credits from Eminem, with Eminem having production credits on pretty much every song on the Eminem Show except the ones produced by Dr. Dre and some of the skits. At the beginning of Cleaning Out My Closet, Eminem famously says that he could not hear the snare in his headphones. This has turned into a meme amongst his fan base. Since the release of the song, Eminem said that this was in fact true. He couldn't hear it and opted to keep this intro part in the song. He said that the engineer had it muted for some reason. The song Cleaning Out My Closet is about his childhood, which involved his father, who was absent, and his mother, whom he had a turbulent relationship with. Fans of Eminem already know how bad Eminem's relationship with his own mother once was. Okay, so quick update. I've had this video planned and scripted for like a month or so, but just recently, Eminem's mother, Debbie Mathers, has passed away, so rest in peace to Debbie Mathers. In the song, he references how his mother made a CD about him. This refers to a CD that Eminem's mom, Debbie, made in 2000.
The words really hurt, and they cut like a knife, but no way to mend a bleeding heart.
This was her response to what Eminem had said about her on his albums up to that point. This was also around the time she sued Eminem for defamation, seeking over $10 million in damages, a lawsuit that ended up netting her a measly $1,600. Some additional facts about the song is that according to Eminem, this is the second song that he recorded for the Eminem Show. In 2015, members of D12 did an interview with Hip Hop DX. In this interview, Kaniva spoke about how Cleaning Out My Closet was not originally for Eminem. Though Eminem co-produced the song, it was Bizarre of D12 who dropped lyrics on it first. According to Kaniva, Bizarre was talking too crazy on the track and was encouraged to tone it down. Even though Dr. Dre approved of the track, Bizarre ended up passing on it, which is how Eminem ended up doing the song. This then fades into the song Square Dance, one of my favorite tracks on the album. In the song, Eminem disses the rapper Cannabis. According to Eminem, their feud started when he was accused of writing LL Cool J's diss response to Cannabis entitled The Ripper Strikes Back.
I don't know if I want to get into the whole story. Like, I met him at his video shoot like 4 years ago when he was just about to blow. And everyone thought he was going to be the next big thing. And
They were wrong.
they were wrong. And yo, honestly, he was an asshole. Like, he played himself. Like, to me, like, Clef, they thought I did the LL diss record. They thought I wrote LL's response. And, like, that's why they called me down to the video shoot. And, like, Clef had asked me, did I write it? And I was like, no, I didn't write it. And and then Cannabis, like, asked me separately from Clef. And I was like, dog, I'm a grown man. I'll tell you if I wrote it. I didn't write it. And he was like, yo, B, I'm not going to say that I believe you. You know what I'm saying? I don't trust nobody in this game and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay, well, look, I didn't write it. And I like your style. And hopefully, maybe one day we can do a record together. And he was like, yo, B, you get to know me first. Come hang out with me first. And walked away and left me standing there like an asshole. So I'm like, I didn't know what the guy's problem was.
So this is how Eminem says that the beef started between the two. In the outro of the song, Eminem mentions Dr. Dre, Busta Rhymes, Exhibit, Nas, and D12 wanting to square dance with him, meaning that they want to collaborate with him. Eminem has done songs and or produced songs with all of these people. Following Square Dance comes the second skit of the album, the Kiss Skit. This skit is essentially a reenactment of an incident that occurred in 2000, almost 2 weeks after Eminem released the Marshall Mathers LP. Eminem reportedly went to a friend's house after thinking that his then wife Kim was snooping around with another man. Eminem and his friend then drove to the Hot Rocks Cafe in Warren, Michigan at 2 o'clock in the morning. While in the parking lot, Eminem allegedly saw Kim kiss a man by the name of John. I don't know if it's Guerra, but whatever. John. Crashing out, Eminem allegedly hopped out the car where he confronted Kim and John. This resulted in Eminem allegedly pistol whipping the man, which led to charges of carrying a concealed weapon without a license and assault with a deadly weapon. The smartest thing that Eminem could have done in this scenario was take the bullets out of the gun, which left in could have led to a lot of problems for him. He mentions taking out the bullets on this skit as well as on Cleaning Out My Closet. What's interesting is that later on in the album on the song Sing for the Moment, Eminem calls John a liar for the fact that it was not a gun that he hit him with. Eminem said that it was a fist after all. Eminem faced a maximum of 5 years for this case. As far as the criminal case, Eminem ended up being sentenced to 2 years of probation after pleading guilty to a charge of carrying a concealed weapon. In 2002, a civil case was settled out of court with Eminem paying John $100,000. It was said that neither party admitted to wrongdoing or liability under this settlement. At the beginning of the skit, an unreleased song by Eminem titled "Everybody's Looking at Me" plays in the background.
Action, cameras flashing, managers, sponsors, concerts, monster mashing, flashing. Type of might throw his underwear in the trash like Marilyn Manson.
This stems from a freestyle that Eminem and Proof did for Funk Flex in January of 2002. This plays at the beginning of the skit, but midway through the start of the song Soldier plays, which is the next track. Another really hard track which further details what happened with the incident that occurred in the Kiss skit. After Soldier comes the track Say Goodbye Hollywood. This is the conclusion to the story that started in the Kiss skit, which bled into the song Soldier. Say Goodbye Hollywood is the aftermath of the story. This is when Eminem realizes that he needs to get away from Hollywood and the spotlight due to it weighing on him. In the first verse, he raps about how his actions almost cost him his freedom. He just sold 2 million records and his crash out almost cost him his career. In the third verse of the song, he mentions how some people believed that his incident with Kim and John was a publicity stunt due to how close it happened to the release of the Marshall Mathers LP. Later on in the verse, he raps about how the level of fame that he attained was way more than he asked for. He struggled dealing with it and it did not help his issues. Say Goodbye Hollywood is the 8th track on the album. According to Genius, the track Stimulate from the special edition bonus disc from the 8 Mile soundtrack was originally going to have this slot on the Eminem Show. Further evidence of this is that on some promotional vinyls for the album, the 8th track on the Eminem Show is Stimulate. The song does appear as the 21st track on the expanded edition of the Eminem Show that was released in 2002 to commemorate the album's 20th anniversary.
I am only entertaining you, my goal is to stimulate, making you high.
Following Say Goodbye Hollywood comes the first song with the feature on the album. This is the song Drips with fellow Detroit rapper Obi Trice. Real name, no gimmicks. If you have ever listened to the song, then it would be no surprise why this song does not appear on the clean version of the Eminem Show due to its subject matter. Eminem and Obi Trice both mess with a girl from the Cleaners who give them the drips, aka an STD. Some people consider this the worst song on the album. I think the song has some novelty to it, it's kind of funny, and I think that Obi Trice kills his verse. I also really like the beat for some reason. The first half of the album ends with the song Without Me. As I mentioned earlier, this was the first and only single to be released before the Eminem Show. The message of the song is Eminem telling his fans and critics that music is boring without him and the controversy that he brings. This song, by no surprise, sparked controversy due to Eminem dissing multiple people. One of the people that he dissed was the musician Moby. Backstage at the 2001 Grammy Awards, Moby said that he supported Eminem's right to free speech. This is the same Grammys that Eminem performed on stage with Elton John. But then Moby criticized Eminem for being a misogynist, racist, and an anti-Semite, among other things. Eminem called Moby old and that no one listens to techno. Years later, Moby did an interview and said that his 2 favorite Eminem songs were Mosh and Without Me, especially Without Me because it gave him a ton of free publicity. Chris Kirkpatrick of the group NSYNC also felt Eminem's wrath. The story with this is that Eminem dissed boy bands in general on his song The Real Slim Shady.
I'm sick of you little girl and boy groups, all you do is annoy me, so I have been sitting here to destroy you.
Aside from this, Eminem directly dissed NSYNC on the songs I'm Back and Marshall Mathers on the Marshall Mathers LP. He questioned why they even sing and that he wants to get rid of them. While on the MTV show TRL, Chris Kirkpatrick compared Eminem to the Crocodile Hunter due to his love for controversy. In Eminem's 2009 autobiography entitled The Way I Am, he explained why he dissed Chris. He said that it was not out of genuine anger, just entertainment. Eminem has also said that he went at Chris because he was the only one out of the group who had the guts to say something back. He was also kind of an easy lick because the name Chris Kirkpatrick rhymes with get your ass kicked. In the next line of the song, Eminem dissed Limp Bizkit. Originally, the group and Eminem were cool. They collaborated, appeared in the Real Slim Shady video, and co-founded the Anger Management Tour, which featured rock and rap acts. Things eventually went sour between the two camps.
We were on tour together, right? The Anger Management Tour. And the reason that I dissed him is because when all the beef with Everlast was going on, right? They wanted to jump in the middle of it. They wanted to jump in it with me and take my side, right? And they wanted to do a song with me because I did a song, Everlast did a song dissing me, then I dissed him back, then he dissed me back again. So I was gonna diss him back again one final time, so I was telling them about it. So we set up the studio time. The day I get to the studio, that day, Fred pages us, yo, I got a toothache, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it today. And DJ Lethal says he doesn't know how he feels about doing the song because he's still cool with Everlast. So I'm thinking, all right, if he's still cool with Everlast, then why was he telling me he hates him?
To my knowledge, Eminem and Fred Durst still haven't spoke since this all went down. The second half of the album begins with a Paul Rosenberg skit. Paul Rosenberg is Eminem's longtime manager. Throughout the years, he appeared on numerous skits on Eminem's albums. In this particular skit, Paul is livid that Eminem is being irresponsible with guns once again, which can get him in trouble with the law. After this skit comes the track Sing for the Moment. This ended up being the fourth single of the album. It peaked at number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100. As of 2022, the song is double platinum. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Eminem revealed that this was the first song that he wrote for the Eminem Show. In the song, Eminem addresses his critics who did not understand why people were identifying with his music. He wasn't making music for the critics. He was making music for those who latched on to what he was saying. The song interpolates Dream On by Aerosmith. Joe Perry, a guitarist of the band, did the guitar solo at the end of the song. When interviewed about Eminem wanting to do the song, Joe was surprised that Eminem wanted to do it. Surprised in a nice way though. He figured that someone like Eminem would probably be influenced by something more recent than Dream On, considering that song was released in 1973. Sing for the Moment is immediately followed by the third single from the Eminem Show, which is Superman. This song peaked at number 15 on the Billboard Hot 100. As of 2022, the song is double platinum.
Can't be your Superman, can't be your Superman, can't be your Superman.
Aside from the song being a hit, the biggest talking point to come from this track was Eminem's mention of singer Mariah Carey. With Superman, all I ever hear people talk about is Mariah Carey. Did she inspire it? Yes, she kind of did. I don't want to get into tabloid gossip, but if you read between the lines and you listen to it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I recorded it toward the end of the Eminem Show. I wanted to do it with an LL Cool J kind of whisper, like in his song, I Need Love. That was the thing for a while with the good old school love songs, to be gentle and playful with your voice. In Superman, the girl thinks I'm serenading her, but I'm really telling her I'm sick of her. I just got divorced from Kim and I was going down the same road I'd already been on. This was my say of saying I'm not going to make a love song. Mariah Carey has denied that she ever dated Eminem and only hung out with him on a couple of occasions. This led to disses and diss tracks being exchanged between the two and went on to involve Nick Cannon, who married Mariah Carey years later. The song Superman features singer Dina Ray. In 2021, during an interview, she revealed that Mariah Carey did the vocals for the song originally. Something happened between Eminem and Mariah, which caused Eminem to be upset, and he said what he said about her on the song. The 14th track on the Eminem Show is Haley's song. Of course, Haley being the name of Eminem's daughter, who was around the age of 5 when the Eminem Show was released.
When I see my baby, suddenly I'm not crazy.
At times, Eminem felt that he had nothing to live for, but then he looked over and saw Haley and understood that he does have something to live for after all. This song was not originally meant to be on the album. Eminem wrote it for Haley and just for Haley. He was trying to experiment and have a song that he could play for Haley when she got older. Eminem played the song for a couple people and they ended up liking it. Eventually, Eminem changed his mind and decided to officially release it. This didn't come without its problems though. There were issues with the original sample of the song, which was While My Guitar Gently Weeps by the Beatles. This was written by George Harrison, the band's lead guitarist. According to Eminem, George heard the song and liked it. George was going to allow Eminem to use the sample, but he sadly passed away in November of 2001. After his passing, George's wife took control of his music and did not allow Eminem to use the original sample. There happens to be 2 YouTube videos that dive deeper into this topic. The YouTuber Divine Dougie has a video breaking down the original song, and YouTuber Fireblossom made a mashup of the song with the original sample. Check both of those out for further information. Another skit follows this song. It's a Steve Berman skit. At the time, Steve Berman was the president of marketing at Interscope Records. This was his 3rd time being on a skit for an album that Eminem was involved with. He has a skit on the Marshall Mathers LP and on D12's debut album, Devil's Night. Steve normally has bad news for Eminem on these skits. This is why for the skit on the Eminem Show, right as Steve starts to talk to Eminem, he fires his weapon at Steve. Contrary to how Steve felt about the Marshall Mathers LP, Steve actually liked the Eminem Show. This fades into the track When the Music Stops, which features D12. This song is about people who take rap too seriously and can't differentiate music from reality. It's all entertainment. Eminem thinks that this is one of the best songs that D12 has ever done. Say What You Say is the next track and it features Dr. Dre, while also being produced by him. Eminem unloads the clip and disses multiple people. One of them is Jermaine Dupri, who he calls a midget. Their issues stem from Eminem inheriting Dr. Dre's beef with Jermaine Dupri. This was all over an interview that Jermaine Dupri did with XXL in 2001. Jermaine was asked who the best producer in the game at the time was. He replied that it was him. Nobody could do what he does. Not Diddy, no Diddy, Timbaland, or Dr. Dre. This is why Timbaland appears on the track and disses Jermaine as well. Eminem also dissed the Source magazine, not giving his projects their coveted 5 mic rating. Before Eminem was signed, he appeared on their unsigned hype column. Then when Eminem got on, they rated the Slim Shady LP 4 out of 5 mics, while giving the Marshall Mathers LP 2 out of 5 mics. This led Eminem to say what he said on the song. It fizzled into Eminem eventually beefing with Benzino, the at the time co-owner of the magazine. That's an entire can of worms within itself though. Till I Collapse is the 18th song on the album. It features the legendary Nate Dogg. Rest in peace, Nate Dogg. It's a very powerful and motivational song. Despite its popularity, the song was never released as a single. As of 2022, the song is 8 times platinum. My Dad's Going Crazy is the last full track on the Eminem Show, and it's produced by Dr. Dre. The title of the track was inspired by Eminem's daughter, Haley. According to Eminem, he frequently brought her to the studio when he recorded music. One day, she was being goofy while running around the studio, saying that her dad had gone crazy. This inspired Eminem to make the song and put Haley on it. He received some criticism for putting his daughter on a song with vulgar lyrics, but Eminem defended himself by saying that when she got older, she would hear much worse. This leads us to the last skit on the album, which is Curtains Close. It features the character of Ken Kniff. He first appeared on the Slim Shady LP, where he was voiced by a man who went by the name of Aristotle. Eminem and Aristotle had a falling out, which led to Eminem voicing the character starting with the Marshall Mathers LP. Ken is an interesting character to say the least. On Curtains Close, he walks up to the mic and he sings, let's say, an alternate version of Without Me by Eminem. The conclusion of this skit ends the album. What a wild ride that we've been on. Such a great album. I'm not surprised that a lot of people refer to this as one of Eminem's best albums. Really good top to bottom. All in all, let me know in the comment section below what you think of the album and what classic album I should cover next. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace.